Before the pioneers saw the Wellsville Mountains, mountain men were the first Caucasians to see Cache Valley. The American and European markets for pelts from which to make beaver felt hats was the magnet which drew trappers and traders to the Intermountain West. Beaver ponds can still be seen while one follows the Temple Fork Sawmill Trail in Logan Canyon. The foremost trapper, which is named for the largest city in Cache Valley, was Ephraim Logan. He was a Missourian who was killed by Indians. This skirmish was located today in southwest Idaho. Logan River took on his name in 1828. The valley itself was named from a French verb meaning to hide and indicated that the first American trappers checked their furs in this area. This caching or stashing is the derivative of how Cache Valley obtained its name. Various mountain men who visited Cache Valley included Jedediah S. Smith, Moses Black Harris, and John H. Weber. Probably the most famous of these early explorers was Jim Bridger. Brigham Young sought his advice on his westward trek on June 28, 1847, while traveling with the Saints. Bridger was firmly against the idea of inhabiting the Great Basin. During a meeting, he told Young that he'd give $1,000 for a bushel of corn raised in the basin. The winter of 1825-26 was harsh enough that the buffalo that normally wintered in Cache Valley were trapped by the snows. This tragically covered the grazing areas. That spring was the last year the buffalo were present in this area, though a few stragglers were killed by trappers in 1833 when they had wandered south. On December 22, 1906, the Tri-Weekly Journal wrote about a man named Samuel Roskelley. He reflected on his first trip here over half a century before, in 1855. He was one of the first people to inhabit the valley. Roskelley would later become a huge instrument in recording the inner workings of the Logan Temple when he would become the temple recorder. Roskelley penned the following paragraphs.
On one of the last days of July of 1855, a little company of men and teams could be seen making a wagon trail from Dry Lake Valley over the ridge and down what has since been known as Sardine Canyon. No wagon road up to that date had been made into this beautiful valley of Cache. Consequently, the teams were pulling them along the hillsides and crossing the gulches that required constant efforts of all the loose men with the company. Fortunately, no serious accidents befell the outfit. Once over the ridge and down the canyon, with a large part of the beautiful valley in sight, it fairly filled the members of the company with a feeling of reverence that's easier felt than described. Hats were lifted involuntarily from the heads of owners, and words escaped several lips. What a beautiful sight at beholding the broad expanse of land between the Grand Mountains east and west, and to feel the inspiration arising therefrom. The winding course of Bear, Logan, and Blacksmith Fork rivers, and the smaller streams flowing by willows, cottonwood trees, etc., and the land, well, it seemed to be without limit, and the water so abundant that the New World was opened up for settlement, and it lay stretched out on the north, east, and southeast. The danger of wagons having a tip-over came to an end when the company came to the bench lands, and by sunset, the creek had been reached. Hawbush Springs, located in the present Mount Sterling. Camp formed, supper prepared and eaten, and necessary guards arranged for the night. For we were now in Indian country. For although Indians who generally roamed through this valley were not considered hostile, the occasional loss of a horse and the fact that when a beef was killed in our camp, Indians were always in evidence, made vigilance. Samuel Ross Kelly.